Are with Arch Bell. Go ahead, Arch.
Thank you so much. Josh, you're a coach that likes to preach intensity from the first minute to have make sure your team is switched on. So giving up that goal in so early, almost 45 seconds in, how frustrating was that for you to start the game off in that kind of fashion?
Unacceptable, completely unacceptable, and on a lot of levels, unacceptable. Players' responsibility, intensity when the ball is in play, just the general demeanor of some of our players at the beginning of the game is unacceptable. And we talked about what this game was going to be, a team that hadn't won in 16 games, a level of intensity that you need to have first to walk on the field in this league to compete and to come out and do that. Danny Pereira wasn't even close to being up to speed. I just talked to him about, does he know who Quintero is? Did he actually look to do the research? We have plenty of video, plenty of things available to allow these guys to know exactly who their direct opponents are. And it's not just him, but on the play, man, there's got to be a level of physicality, competing. And again, when he gets turned, he shuts off. He again, similar to what happened in Dallas, just no commitment to the next actions. And it affected him. Clearly it affected him. Stopped moving for the first half, was very uncomfortable, and it was unfortunate. But that was, a few people had that level of intensity that was lacking, and it cost us. You get hit in the mouth the first 45 seconds, it hurts, and the response took too long, and again, it was frustrating. The second goal is obviously unfortunate. We have security of the ball at midfield, and it's a long ball that Julio skips off his leg, and it's terribly frustrating. It's terribly frustrating.
Thank you, Arch. Let's go with Chris Bales.
Yeah, Josh, you pretty much touched on it there, but just the response after that, I guess, like you said, that the first 45 seconds or whatever is unacceptable. But what did you see as far as a response? Was it, as far as individuals in the locker room, maybe at halftime, sort of speaking up? Where did you feel like the level of responsibility was after that moment and after the way the match started?
Again, I thought the second half, the energy and the tempo was much better. We made some changes. Again, I think Tomas went on his own page to some degree in the first half, was taking all the corner kicks, was moving well across the field, wasn't staying in his area, wasn't making the runs behind the line. And between him and Danny, we had to make the change. They weren't sticking to what we talked about. They certainly weren't executing at a good level. And again, we brought in Rodney to bring us verticality, Sebastian to bring us mobility, and certainly the level of technical quality to distribute and cover some ground. And I think the second half started much, much better. And we created chances. We had urgency to get balls wide, get in front of goal. And it's an odd one. We should score. And obviously we eat one at the other end. And it's goals change games, as I've said. And again, it can't take 45 minutes, man. It can't take being down 2-0. And our guys know this, and we talked about it, and we've talked about it in the past. And there's going to be some changes come Wednesday, and again, we got three games in this week, and this was frustrating to say the least.
I guess what's it gonna take for this group at points like this to kind of take that personal responsibility in some moments, and I guess I don't want to leave you out of that either.
Yeah.
Right? What's it going to take at this point?
Yeah, we're doing anything and everything we can. We have individual meetings, small group meetings, large meetings, certainly real candid conversations, very direct, but also talking about what we need, not just placing blame. Of course, this starts with me. So I understand my role and responsibility in this, trying to get these guys into a place where they feel comfortable and are obviously ready to perform our ideas on the weekend. And again, I think there were moments where it was all right, but the starting point of all this is the mentality and the mindset of what it takes to come on the field. These guys have played a number of games. Guys that are part of our league and guys that haven't been part of our league have played enough games to know what's required now in MLS. And there's just too much softness out there. Not winning tackles, not competing, flopping around on the ground. It's unacceptable. And these guys are going to need to dig in, and so are we as a staff. And that's what this is about. And we'll get the guys ready for the next game on Wednesday.
Thank you, Chris. Let's go with Mario Tapia, followed by Mark Turner.
Hey, Coach. Thank you for having us. So these kind of games, they're painful. Like people are really feeling these losses? We understand that this is an expansion team, but losing against FC Dallas and losing against Houston Dynamo, it's painful. Why do you tell the fans after these losses?
Yeah, it is painful. I agree 100%. And, all I can do is say we are trying, to continue to get better. And I'm frustrated as well, but we've got to continue to work. We got to continue to teach. And obviously there's a level of information that players have and get, but then there's also the level of commitment that we have to have from them as well in these games. And again, it's been too much of a roller coaster ride. And whether it's Dallas and Houston, which is very disappointing because they're our in-state rivals. And I certainly understand the frustration and the disappointment. But it's been other games as well. So we've had, yes, we're an expansion team and we're new. We've had the injuries. We had 8 in a row on the road. And again, there's plenty of adversity, but that's not the talking point. The talking point is showing up to work, showing up to compete, sticking to the way that we play and understanding each person's role in that. And continuing to get better. And again, there's been so many good things throughout the year, obviously many bad things as well, but you got to keep pushing. But there's, tonight, 60 seconds in is unacceptable.
Go ahead, Mark, followed by Claire Pertain.
Hey, Coach. You talked about personal responsibility there. First goal, arguably, was several players not taking the responsibility for shutting down an attack through the heart of the defense. The second goal, obviously, was an individual error. One thing I noticed is there doesn't seem to be, obviously, you don't want guys tearing strips off each other on the field. That's probably not very helpful. But you talk about leadership within the organization. You talked about having leaders that you talk to, between games. Yeah. I'm kind of surprised not to see those guys kind of getting on the other guys and keeping them honest during the match. Brad Stu was one in particular that I really would have thought at this point have been giving his defense kind of what for the positions he's putting in. What's your take on that?
I agree 100%. And we've talked about that. And I do it at halftime and I do it, certainly in our meetings and things of such, but absolutely we need it on the field. And that's part of the healthy team. You need that dynamic, whether, it's 25-year-old, 30-year-old having to go, you got to certainly light a fire into each other. And we do that as coaches as well. And that's part of it. But on the field, it's not desperation, but the urgency and the willingness and the responsibility to have some of that bite on the field. It's been noticeable. We've talked about it a good bit, and it can't just be coming from us. Obviously, we try to drive it and fuel it, but we need that on the field. I think we've certainly haven't seen enough of that within the group on the field, and in challenging times, that's why you need it. That's when you need it. And, we have a lot of different leaders in different ways, but that's certainly a noticeable missing piece.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Mark. Claire, followed by Phil West.
Hey, Coach. Something that I think I've picked up on the past few games especially is a lot of times, especially on the back line, it seems like we're not quite as quick as some of these other teams. Would you agree with that? And if so, how does that kind of factor into these games and how do you try to work around that?
I like it. They're a student of the game. It's good. Yes, there is, certainly some pace. Again, we try to minimize some of that by, where we pick up our line of confrontation, minimizing, the space that our center backs or our fullbacks have to deal with. But speed along the back line is something that we need to get a little bit more of. We do have competent players. We have good positioning, good anticipation helps make up for that. But just the rawness of it that we could certainly use a bit more. And that's a gap on our side and physicality in midfield. I think overall from, the ability to compete and come away with balls outside of Alex Ring, it's challenging. And again, that's something that's been very noticeable. So combine the two and that's, also part of the reason why we tend to be a little bit more compact, try to be a little bit lower in our line of confrontation and be really diligent about when we're high pressing and needing to go after the opponent. But, it's obviously something that you picked up on. And obviously I think some of the other teams have taken advantage of when we do allow space.
Thank you, Claire. Phil West, and we'll wrap things up with Zach Smith. Go ahead, Phil.
Great. Thanks, Mauricio. Hey, Josh. So just, obviously, this now, 9 losses in the last 11 matches. Is this a point where you keep trying to gun for the playoffs until you're mathematically out of it? Or is this time to kind of maybe assess up and down the squad in games and rotate and see what you've got for 22?
Yeah, we're definitely assessing what we have game by game, but we got 3 games in a week, and there's going to be certainly some changes over the next game, and as well as the third. Playoffs, I don't really worry about. We got to get these guys ready to compete for a game, to win a game, to have the right mindset and willingness and desperation to go out and win. And our fans deserve it. They bust their ass. They come to these games in every city that we play in, and we got to do more. We got to do more as a staff, certainly as the players as well. That's on us, man. It was never going to be easy, but it shouldn't be this damn hard. We got to keep coming together, keep competing. And we need guys out that are ready to work and compete and certainly believe in their role and believe in what we're doing. And, we got plenty of those guys, but we got to fight. I mean, I'm not kidding when I say the first thing that you have to have in this league, talent is talent, but if you're not willing to fight and compete, it's going to be a tough slog up the hill, because it's a prerequisite. And I've been in this league a long time, and it doesn't just happen. You got to show out there and put it in for 90 minutes. And that's what we're seeing right now.
So what's the criteria for making the starting 11 on Wednesday?
You got to you trying to slip in there? You trying to get into the starting 11? One, healthy bodies, some freshness, but mentality. I think the right mentality, the understanding what we're gonna need, what this game against LAFC is gonna look like, and just the willingness. I mean, we've got to get back to obviously good habits, intensity, but a fighting spirit from the start to the end. Which right now it's been a little bit too much of a roller coaster, and when it's tough, we got to answer the bell much better.
Thank you, Phil. Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, I think I'm going to leave it at that, because that was what I was
Go for it, Zach. Keep the
What?
questions going, bud. Keep them going. Let's talk.
What response do you want to see from this game? Obviously, you mentioned there are changes coming. What is the big picture? Where do you want to go from here? Kind of what you were just asked, though.
Urgency, desire, fight, competing. Mark Turner mentioned it. Like, when there's a mistake on the field, it's okay to have a go at a guy. It's okay to dig in and fight with one another. That's a responsibility of our group. We do it as coaches with players. It's also the response on the field. You got to have this interaction, the level of engagement, the level of intensity. It's too quiet, and there's not enough, actionable things happening when it does go wrong. And again, as the second half goes, you see a different level of energy, intention, motivation, desire. That's what it has to be, but it can't take it hitting the face in the first 60 seconds. Waltzing through and not really moving like we need to the next 20 minutes, slowly picking it up. That's what I want to see. I want to see guys that are up for it from start to finish. And if it's a little less quality than it is talent, we'll take that, because that's the prerequisite. We got to have that without a doubt.
Knowing this team like you do they have that in them?
Of course they do. I mean, we've done this little bit of a roller coaster a number of times. But, for whatever reason, it's too many highs and lows right now, too many highs and lows. And it's a low for this whole group, I think, for this organization. And we got to keep digging. It's been a difficult, adverse year. That's life. We got to continue to push, man. We got to continue to push, believe in each other, stick together, and again, keep preparing for the next game.
Thank you, Coach.